Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is something new I'm doing on the channel. A new series, a month in review, and as usual, I welcome all your feedback on aspects you liked, didn't like, what you can suggest adding if there's anything you want to see, or whatever. Feedback. I welcome feedback. I always do on these new things. It's been a while since I introduced a really new series. I kind of did a 12 by 12 reviews this past year, which I like. I think that'll stick around, just, reviewing things that I've played at least 12 times and really exploring full deep dives into games. I did make a small change this month to the Where Are They Now series, the look back I do. I made a small tweak there, so that's a change rather than a new series. But this is a completely new series, a month in review that slightly replaces something. We'll get to that soon, but diving into all the stuff from the month. The stats, the best games, the most played, the disappointments, all these various things. And as usual, timestamps to everything, and let's see how this series iterates and develops, or just in general, whether you like it. If you like it, we'll do more of them. If you don't like it, I'll probably do at least one more, because you want to see some sense. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. To that end, this is a recap for the month of June. A recap of the highlights, all the things, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. Starting off with just some basic gameplay stats. I played 166 plays. I had 166 plays in June. I just realized I forgot to do one thing over here. We forgot to do our insights. I played 166 plays. 166 games were played. No. I played 166 games in June. That puts me as my second lowest month of the year so far. Currently, we have March has the highlight at 225 plays, which is a lot of plays. 166 is my second lowest month. I believe last month was my lowest, if I'm not mistaken. I played 76 unique games, and 22 of them were new to me this past month. That's going to be some basic gameplay stats. Past that, as far as my H-index currently, my H-index for the year is 14 as of right now. An H-index, if you don't know, is the idea that how many times you played a game that many times. So if you've played one game once, that's an H-index of 1. But if I played 2 games of Catan and 2 games of Castle of Burgundy, that's an H-index of 2. And in order to get an H-index of 3, I have to play at least 3 games 3 times. So in order to have an H-index of 14, I have to have played at least 14 games 14 different times. And so for 2023, currently, I'm currently up to an H-index of 14. I'm curious to see what that gets to. The nature of H-indexes is they get progressively harder and harder to escalate as the month goes on, as time goes on in general. Past that, as far as the games, the most played for the month of June, the most played in order from least to most, and I'm always going to do top 5 for this category, but coming in at 5 plays, we have Tiwanuku, previously known as Pachamama. Finally had a chance to start diving into that one, and reminded just how much I enjoyed it. This is one where I definitely have to be mindful of how fast I play it, because there's actually a limited number of episodes in Tiwanuku. It's not like 500 episodes, it's like 40 maybe, something like that, and the Kickstarter copy of the game, not nearly enough to really dive into, so I need to pace myself on that game. Coming in next, we have Codenames as my 4th most played game of the month, coming in with 7 plays. Then we have Zombie Teens Evolution coming in at 8 plays. That's Zombie Teens is the successor to Zombie Kids. I'm playing that one with my kids, going through it slowly. We have 7 Wonders Duel with 8 plays under my belt. And then finally, with 13 plays under my belt for the month of June, we have Castle of Burgundy coming in as my most played game this month, which is not a surprise. It's been my most played game for the past few months, I think. It's been high for the past few months. I don't know the most played because I have only started doing this series, this month. Then from there, we're going to go to our disappointments. Disappointments is the only category that I'm not trying to force a specific number. And there are times where I might not force numbers in general, but specifically at disappointments, I don't want to force them. If something naturally feels like it disappointed me, I want to talk about it. But I don't want to be like, okay, I have 3 disappointments. Let me see what I can, shove into the list to call a disappointment so I can get to at least 5. In the case of June, we have 3. Starting off with an older one, we have the Guild of Merchant Explorers. I had a chance to play the Guild of Merchant Explorers, which I haven't played in a while, and I was reminded both why I like the game and also the aspects I don't like about Guild of Merchant Explorers. Now, I still think Guild of Merchant Explorers is fine. Keep in mind, disappointments does not mean bad games. Disappointments means that in some way, they're disappointed. Very often, that can be related to how much I expected to like that game. In the case of the Guild of Merchant Explorers, I still find it frustrating how much you build out and then just get rid of everything you've done. So I played it and I was like, I remember why I like this, and I remember why I got rid of it. And so that's going to be one of my disappointments for the month of June. The other 2 are newer games. Specifically, we have Chronicles of Abel. Chronicles of Abel is one that I played, and again, I enjoy Chronicles of Abel. I think it's a totally fine game, but I think it was I think I was expecting a little bit more weight to it. Chronicles of Evil is going to be a kind of Mage Knight-esque, slight adventuring, and not really a dungeon crawler, but dungeon crawler adjacent as you wander out into the world, as you explore the map, as you try to build up your characters and defend the castle, ultimately before eventually time runs out and you have to deal with some large dude wandering towards the city, and you have to be strong enough to take him out. I like the concept. It feels too light. Comparatively speaking, I already have games in that category. I already have Catacombs of Karak, I already have Core Quest, and Chronicles of Evil didn't feel like it really added that much more. I like it for now. It's still on my shelf. We'll hold on to it for a moment. But I think I was expecting something a little bit more impressive than what I actually got from it. Similarly, we have Dungeons & Dragons Trials of Tempest. That was one where I was really excited to dive into it. If you watched my unboxing of that one, I was kind of like getting into it, like seeing the components, seeing the cards and the D&D style gameplay, and really getting excited for what I thought the game would be. But then I dove into it and played it, and was kind of more... I was more on the fence about it. I felt that aspects of the game were still enjoyable, but the rest of it kind of came in a little messy for me. It didn't heavily do it as far as... I think one of my big complaints was that there were a lot of combat-focused mechanics and just a lot of things to manage as far as combat goes, but it ultimately didn't really give you a very combat-focused experience, or at least didn't seem to be as focused on actual head-to-head combat as what it theoretically like. It seemed to be kind of tangential at best. Overall, again, it's not a bad game. It was fine. I would play it again, but certainly not... so as far as games that I was looking forward to and let me down, I would say Dungeons & Dragons Trials of Tempest definitely hit those beats. From there, we're going to go into our... Let's see, which category should we do next? Let's do our best new games of the month. Best new games is specifically newer games. These are specifically and only games that are new to me. They have to have had their first logged play in June, which also means sometimes you're going to get some like spoilers to upcoming things. That's one of the downsides of, and that's where I might have to experiment with the format at times, because sometimes I can't give you a spoiler. We'll figure things out. In either case, ranking from worst to best over here, and again, this is all best. So these are the 5 best from the, fifth down, 5th, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1 being the bestest. Coming at number 5, we have Pyramido. Pyramido, I don't know if the review went up for this one yet, but that's going to be a new release from Synapsis Games, if I recall correctly. But it's a little tile laying game, and it's very light. It's very light, and I don't think it stays in my collection forever. I think Pyramido will leave. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it gave me a fun little accessible puzzle, and not all games have to be kept. Some of these games are just enjoyable. You keep it for a time, and you move on from it. Pyramido kind of reminds me of Number 9, a game that I had for like a year and then got rid of it because kind of that vibe. It's fun. You explore, you try it, you play it, and then one day you look at it and you're like, I've explored you enough, and it's time to move on. I think Pyramido does have a clock in it. By the very nature of how light it is, I think it definitely will leave at some point. But I definitely enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed that one, and just thought it was very, very simple, streamlined, and elegant for what the gameplay does. Coming in number 4, we have Sagrada Artisans. This one didn't really shock me as far as being particularly amazing, but I liked it. It was more Sagrada and is in a legacy format, and so I enjoyed Sagrada Artisans. I thought it gave me just an overall good experience within the Sagrada universe, and another reason to dive into Sagrada and enjoy what that has to offer. So, Sagrada Artisans. It's a simple to the point, did not blow me away. It was just a good game with a legacy system applied on top of it. At number 3, we have Siliconvania over here. Siliconvania, we actually have both these on the list over here, but Siliconvania is one that's also from WizKids, and I would say that I got both Trials of Tempest as well as Siliconvania from WizKids, and Trials of Tempest I was really looking forward to, and Siliconvania I was kind of more on the fence about. Like, it looked like a weird theme. Siliconvania, like, Silicon Valley and Transylvania, like, what's going on with that over there? Art by the Metro, but, like, that's not always enough to pull me in. But I really enjoyed Siliconvania. I thought it gave you a solid point scoring system that was very rewarding to go through, had a lot of fun with it, and I just think overall it was just a really, really solid game that I enjoyed a lot. I don't know how long it lasts. I think it's going to stick around for quite some time. I enjoyed the point scoring optimization that the game provides, and just had a lot of fun with it. That's going to be Siliconvania, my 3rd best from the best new games of the month. Coming at my 2nd best new game of the month, we have Stalker, the board game from Awakened Realms. I really enjoyed Stalker. As always with any legacy game, with any campaign game, well, more campaign than legacy, I do question what the longevity is going to be in terms of, not longevity, will I actually dive into it and play it? Will I actually give it the time of day once it shows up? I mean, ISIS Vanguard, I spent, 20 hours on it, and then it showed up and haven't played it since because I'm always being pulled in by other things that require my attention. Although I still make time for things that I love, see Castles of Burgundy. So, like, there's that balance. You make time for some things, you don't make time for other things. I'm curious what will happen with Stalker when it shows up. And keep in mind, I'm not getting rid of ISIS Vanguard yet, not by a long shot. But I'm very curious what will happen with Stalker. But for right now, I really enjoyed it. I thought it gave me an accessible campaign. It gave me the narrative arc of Awakened Realms. It's one that I was not heavily looking forward to. I don't care at all about the IP, and I'm not really into post-apocalyptic, war stuff. Not as much my vibe, but really surprised me as far as the experience that it gave, and very much looking forward to diving back into that kind of tactical, stealth-based noise management navigational system, while also shooting people in the back of the head too. It's always a fun time. Very much enjoyed Stalker, my second favorite new-to-me game of June. And my favorite new-to-me game of June, which is arguably cheating, is Cyclades Legendary Edition. It's cheating because it's Cyclades, which I love, but it is a new version, so count it as you will, rearrange it how you want in your own list, but for me it is a new title, and I really enjoyed it. I thought Cyclades Legendary Edition was a very streamlined version of Cyclades, and is easily my highlight pick as far as best new game, best new experience of June 2023. From there, let's go into crowdfunding campaigns, which is going to have some overlap here. And this is an interesting one too, because crowdfunding campaigns, and I forgot to take my bullet notes on this, I actually add this last. This is going to partially proxy in the What We Backed series. For a long time, I've had in the channel a series of What We Backed, going over the campaigns I've backed over here, and this system over here will kind of give clarity. Every once in a while, I get a question of, when's that series coming back? And the short answer is, due to a very, very, very large tax bill that I got, ever since going self-employed, I've had to do my own taxes, and I've not been great at logging taxes. Due to a very, very large tax bill I got, I kind of have been cutting back on as many expenses as possible and trying to spend less money on board games, which still means I spend money on board games, but backing a little fewer things, having a little more self-control, being a little bit more mindful of when I spend money on things, and to that end, I've heavily cut back on my crowdfunding. And so the What We Backed series, which is a series I did every month where we went into the games that I was interested in eyeballing, and then the 5 or 6 that I backed from those, they've dropped down to 1 or 2 games a month, which makes for a less interesting series, and so I'm going to temporarily cram that into here, at least until backing resumes to normal, which may or may not happen, I don't know. Honestly, it's not the worst thing to save some money. And so to that end, for example, again, I'm going to pick 5 games that are my crowdfunding picks of June. I've only backed one of them. So that should give you some context here as to why that series went away, temporarily went away, and the nature of this. Because in June, I have to go back through things. I wasn't logging as much as I should, but I think I only backed 1 game in June, and the other 4 that I'm going to pick here, I guess maybe not. They may have been sometimes expansions. I have to log it properly. For right now, we're going to go ahead and pick 5. These were last minute additions because I realized it's a good time to put this series, this month in review, is a good time to talk about crowdfunding highlights. And so my crowdfunding highlights of June, based on campaigns that ended in June, these are the 5 that most intrigued me, of which I've only backed 1. The one that I backed is Conquest Princess Fashionist Power. Really enjoyed that one. Thought it was an incredibly puzzly game. Very solid, very similar to the Loop in terms of the vibes it gives me. It was expensive, comparatively speaking, for what you get for an up-and-coming game or whatnot. This is the indie tax, so to speak. But definitely very strongly enjoyed that one, and very much looking forward to diving into the full version of it. So that's the only one I backed. The other 4 over here, we're going to have The Last Spell. The Last Spell was a kind of semi-tower defense, semi-tableau building, base building game from Tabula Games. Looked very intriguing, had great art, great miniatures, seemed very up my alley. Decided to hold off. I'll wait till down the road and try. Many of the games I'm going to try to pick up in some way, shape, or form, or demo, or get my hands on. But for right now, these are games I was interested in, but did not back. And so The Last Spell for Tabula Games, definitely one that was very much on the radar. Into the God's Grave, another one. Now, Into the God's Grave, I do assume Lucky Duck will send it to me. I could be wrong, but they generally do send me review copies. So, Into the God's Grave, I assume I'll get my hands on that one, but I definitely strongly enjoy that one. I got a lot of questions saying, well, why'd you enjoy that, but not Journeys in Middle-earth and Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth? And the short answer is, I haven't played Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth for a long time. But my recollection of the two is one felt like a fun system that I was able to track everything going on and really felt like I was involved in the story and everything else, and the other felt much more vague. Now, this could be that I was in different places in gaming-wise and where I was in my gaming, not career, but where I was as a gamer. It could very well be different places. App-based games are things I don't like, and I only reluctantly tolerate them, so maybe it's just not the right time for me. That could well be. I don't have the answer. All I can tell you is I don't remember liking Journeys in Middle-earth, and I do remember liking Into the God's Grave. Next up, we have Thiefdom. Thiefdom from, I can never remember the name of the company, but Thiefdom, it's like Karma Games, Bad Karma Games, something like that. But either way, Thiefdom, I thought this one looked very cool. Pick up and deliver, which is not always my go-to mechanism, although I really have been enjoying Mistwind from Fresh Fish Games, so that also is pick up and deliver. But Thiefdom was one that I definitely looked very compelling. That's one where I see no reason to get it now. It's a year and a half out. I'll wait till it shows up in retail. I'll get it then if I get it at all, if I still remember and still care about it, and reviews come in that are positive about it and all that. But definitely interested in Thiefdom. Looked very cool. The trailer looked cool, the art looked great, the presentation, the gameplay, all all looked very much on my alley, except it is pick up and deliver, which isn't up my alley, but everything else kind of checked off. And then lastly, we have Dead Cells. Dead Cells is actually a campaign I even backed. Like, despite my shelf control, I fully backed Dead Cells. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to. I'll wait. I'll be patient. I'll hold off. I can get it at retail, get the cheaper version. In general, I've been really pulling back. There are still things I spend money on, but there are fewer and further between as far as things go. And so Dead Cells is one that I'm definitely very interested in. Hope to be trying that one at Gen Con. I believe I should be able to demo it at Gen Con and would love to give it a shot and see if it's a game for me. But that's going to be overall the crowdfunding picks of the month. The 5 most interested crowdfunding campaigns. They won't always be things I backed because, again, trying to save money here. Lastly on the list, we're going to have our 5 highlights of the month. Highlights of the month are going to be a slightly different category. They are almost always going to be games that are my favorite games that I'm currently interested in, and currently is the key word. If I was ranking games, there might be things out of order here, there might be things I didn't put on the list that would be there, but the highlights of the month are just the games that I'm still excited about right now. For whatever reason, right now, in the moment, I'm currently excited about talking about these games. To that end, these games are not going to be the best new games of the month, because even if I'm excited, Cyclades Legendary Edition, very excited for. It will not be in highlights because it was already covered before, but otherwise, let's go ahead and dive into it, starting off with Castles of Burgundy, which we already talked about. This one makes its way into the highlights partially because Castles of Burgundy, but also because the new version. This is when I finally got to play the new version with the miniatures, really enjoy it, and it definitely stood out as being a highlight. Even though I've played 13 plays this month and 50 plays the rest of the year, definitely stood out as a game that I'm currently excited for and still vibing hard on Castles of Burgundy. Similarly, we have Expeditions, which I've really been enjoying Expeditions a lot, and it's staying strong for me. Expeditions is great, and my entire group loves it too, which is great. That really helps. There are times when I love a game, my group doesn't as much, and so I play it a few times. It moves past the getting coverage phase, and then my group is not as excited to table it. And sometimes those games just don't see the light of day, and eventually, 7 months down the road, they show up in a games leaving the collection video because it's not getting played, and it is what it is. Expeditions does not have that problem. Everyone in my group loves it right now. We're all enjoying it. I'm very, honestly, I did not rank my highlights of the month. Expeditions would be the highest. In fact, let's redo this. So let's rank this from, I'm going to start again from least to most as far as the highlights of the month. Least is going to be Innovation. Innovation is an older game that I've had in my collection for a long time, but like a year ago, I got the deluxe edition or whatever it is, and I've been diving into that one to really dive into all the expansions. Some of the expansions I've never played before, and I've been slowly adding them into my mix to try to get a feel for everything Innovation has, and I still overall enjoy it. I don't think it's the most strategic game, not by a long shot, but I'm having a lot of fun with the system and what it does, and so just vibing with it. I'm using the word vibing a lot tonight. But Innovation, I like it a lot, and I'm happy that I'm finally diving into the expansions. I've played it I'm almost certainly going to have a 12 by 12 review for it. I actually think they have an upcoming backer kit campaign, so I'm probably going to try to get all of it done in time for that, so I can do a 12 by 12 review while the back kit campaign is still ongoing. As of right now, I've played with most of the expansions, not all. I still have another one to go, and I'm already 8 plays in, 9 plays in the past month alone, and so that should be easy enough to dive into, try and round out the rest of the expansions, and see where it ends up. But Innovation is definitely my number 5, my 5th highlight of the month. Number 4 is going to be, let's go with 20 Strong. 20 Strong from Chip Theory Games. 20 Strong had a chance to play fully the Too Many Bones deck. In the past, I've played the Solo Sentinels deck, and I've briefly tried the Hoplomachus deck. This is my first time really playing through the full Too Many Bones deck, and I really enjoyed it. I lost horribly, but that gives me that sense of wanting to dive back in to see more of what it has to offer. And so 20 Strong, still definitely up there as far as highlights of the month, despite not being anything new. I guess you could argue it's new, but newish. And then from there, number 3 is going to be the Castles of Burgundy. No, we're going to put number 3 as Tenaris Adventures. Tenaris Adventures is going to be number 3 over there. Tenaris Adventures is excellent. I've been going through this one again. I kind of stopped the campaign I was in the middle of and reset completely because I'm doing a filmed gameplay, a paid gameplay. Take that into account because I'm putting this in the highlights. Take that into account that I'm getting a paid gameplay and it's still showing up in the highlights here. But basically, I'm doing a full paid campaign over there with Dragori Games. But I really like Tenaris Adventures. It's such a good experience. I think it's so much fun to go through the variety of characters, the variety of gameplays, the puzzles they give you, tactically trying to manage everything as you try to utilize all your abilities to take down the enemies. Sometimes it feels really punishing. Other times you feel like you have to work, but you can get there in the end. Having a lot of fun with that one. Number 2 is going to be the Castles of Burgundy. Like I said already, everything I said already. I just said it. And the number 1 is going to be Expeditions, which easily to me is currently standing out as far as the best plays I've had this month. Expeditions is absolutely amazing. I've played it, 7 or 8 times this month, somewhere in that range, plus whatever plays I've gotten before. It's just such a good experience. I have not played it solo, and I've specifically been holding off playing it solo, partially because I don't think it's as much my type of game from a solo perspective, and also because my entire game group likes it, and I don't want to get ahead of them in skill level. I want to kind of ramp up with them as opposed to, trying to find more leeways of how to get better at the system. And so that's going to be Expeditions, which is my #1 highlight of the month. And that's going to be your month in review. That's what we currently have. That's the current format as of right now. Oh, and yeah, new camera angle too. It's nothing fancy. I just rotate the camera a bit, and then that makes it feel different and feels a little more homey and replaces the couch. I mean, you can't really replace the couch. One day I'll have a couch back. The couch is something I used to do. I used to sit on a couch and talk to the camera, and it was very homey, and I enjoyed it, and I miss it. But this basement only has so much room in it. In any case, that's going to be the sections we have. So we have our current sections is kind of a little small, brief recap of the stats of the month. Then the most played, the 5 most played games, the disappointments, however many there are, the 5 best games, the 5 crowdfunding highlights, and then the 5 highlights in general of the month. That's going to be the current format of the month in review. If there's anything you think would be a good addition, or any series of any aspects of this you thought didn't particularly care about, I welcome that feedback. It helps me cater a series that I think is a nice little recap of what's going on and what really stood out to me, and helps me adjust or cater as just what would be a mix of what I like to talk about and also what is useful or helpful or fun for you to hear. So let me know. Feedback welcome. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one.